Hey friends, welcome to the Angie Ambrosetti Show. Let her out to play. I'm Angie, your host, a teenage mom turned multi-six-figure earner, married to the same man for nearly 40 years. I'm a homeschooling mom of 7 and totally unqualified, at least on paper, but wildly called by God. Remember, He doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. Here, we are going to talk about it all. Healing from the hard stuff, building a business with heart, raising a big family, walking in faith, and finally breaking free from the lies that said we weren't enough. So if you're ready to stop playing small, shake off the doubt and the shame, and step fully into who you were created to be, girl, you are in the right place. Let's go. Hey, welcome back to the Angie Ambrosetti Show. Oh my goodness, today's title, You Don't Need More Motivation, You Just Need Fewer Lies. Okay, brace yourself and just hang with me for this one, okay? Today, I want to talk to you about something that I hear so much of the time. I could say all of the time, but I'm changing my words. Very often do I hear this. People tell me, I just need more motivation. How do you stay motivated? I'm waiting to feel motivated. I'm waiting for that kick in the pants. Once I get motivated, I'm going to start. And I want to lovingly challenge that idea. Because when people ask me that, usually I say, I don't stay motivated. I stay consistent, because that is what I have found really moves the needle. So I want to lovingly challenge you with this idea that you don't need more motivation. You just need fewer lies, lies that you're believing. Because motivation isn't really what's missing. Truth is what's missing. And most people aren't stuck because they're lazy or they're not committed. They're usually stuck because they're believing something that simply just isn't true. And those lies, they sound really reasonable. Things like, it's too late for me. I'm in my late 50s. It's just too late. I should be further along by now, surely. I've tried everything. Nothing works for me. Other people have it so much easier than I do. This is just how I am. It's how I've always been. I'll start when life slows down. I'm just so busy right now. Those thoughts don't really feel dramatic. They just feel familiar. But they quietly are shaping your choices. What I've learned in this season of discipline, between weight training, doing my 75 hard carnivore style, or just showing up differently, is this: discipline doesn't create motivation. Discipline, eek, if you could see my face, it exposes the lies that we tell about ourselves. When you start showing up consistently, your excuses, they get uncomfortable. I've seen it with my own life. And when you keep your word to yourself, those old stories that you've been telling yourself, they start to fall apart. They just crumble. And that can feel threatening at first, because we get triggered into thinking certain things about ourselves because we want to protect ourselves through that trigger, and we just hang on to it. We're like, this has to be true. I have to be too old. I have to not be enough. We just tell ourselves these things over and over. But the truth is, if the lie isn't true, then maybe the future isn't closed for you after all. Guys, I just started this podcast last June, and I was 56 years old. And It is what it is. I decided that I was going to do it. I spoke it at a conference that I was at in January of 2025. I said I'm launching a podcast, and I was scared to death when I said it. I don't even know, I wasn't even talking about that. I was talking about my coaching program, and I'm starting a podcast came out of my mouth. Well, I said that. And so it must have been what was in my heart. And so I had to keep my promise to myself and to my 300 friends that were listening to me say that, right? And it's been totally fine because I'm not too old. Other people always started younger. That's not true, right? And I just want to remind you of something, that there are so many people who have become professional later in life. So, KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, he was in his mid 60s. Colonel Sanders, when he got started with a pressure cooker and a belief that he could do it. And now, KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, it is a household name. What about Vera Wang? My wedding rings are Vera Wang. She didn't enter fashion until she was in her 40s. Before that, I think she was a figure skater. She was an ice skater. Okay, 40 years old. What about Martha Stewart? Everybody pretty much knows her name. Okay, she was in her late 40s and early 50s before she built an amazing empire and has this super ordinary life. Do you ever think about that? What about Ray Kroc? He was McDonald's, right? I don't know if you've ever seen the movie or heard the story about Ray Kroc, but he was a milkshake man salesman in his 50s, right? And he turned McDonald's into a global brand at the age of 52. So if you think that it's too late for you. I don't know. Maybe you're listening. Maybe you're way younger than me. Maybe you're way older. I don't even care. Most of the time when I show up to places, if I'm around my daughter-in-laws, I think I'm in my 30s as well. And it doesn't really matter to me. I don't look at age as being an issue. It's not too late for me. It's not too late for you, right? And so, one of the biggest lies that women believe, especially in midlife, is that it's too late for them to get started, to get strong. It's too late to heal. It's too late to change their habits. They've always done it this way. It's too late to start leadership. I was in my 50s when I became a life coach. I was in my 50s when I started speaking on stages. I was in my 50s when I launched this podcast. It's totally fine. I was in my 40s when I started my network marketing business and became a multi six-figure earner. 40s. Like, to me, that's super young. Even 50s is super young, in my opinion. So I think the lies that we tell ourselves, that it's too late, that we can't do it, we need to rethink that. And awareness, it doesn't mean that you've missed your window. It doesn't mean you've entered a new one. And the other thing that we tell ourselves all the time is, I don't have time. That literally is a lie that we tell ourselves so often. Most of the time, that's actually not true. The truth is it's not a priority. And I want to tell you that when I first started saying, that's not a priority for me, it felt really scary. It felt like maybe it was offensive to someone I was saying it to. And actually, my husband was the first one who brought this to my attention because he had heard it and he's like, we just need to implement this. We need to stop saying we don't have time. We need to start saying that's not a priority for me right now. And honestly, guys, there's a big difference because when you say I don't have time, you give your power away as if you have to have time, but you don't. But when you say, that's not a priority for me right now, you take back the responsibility. And the responsibility isn't shame. The responsibility is literally the freedom to say, that's not a priority for me right now. These other things take precedence. And maybe when I have the time, or when it is a priority for me, I'll put it in the schedule. Because now you get to choose differently if you want to. Another common thing that people say a lot, and I've said it myself, and it's really a lie, is I've tried everything. There's that absolute word. If you listen to last week's podcast, I talked about those absolute words. I've tried everything. I would say for 99.99% of people on the planet, you haven't tried everything. Whether you're talking about the foods that you eat, the supplements you take, working out, whatever. We haven't tried everything. That's an absolute word. So you've tried some things, maybe inconsistently, maybe consistently, while still believing the old story about yourself that you've tried everything. And that's honestly not judgment at all. It's simply an invitation. Because the moment you stop identifying with the lie that you're telling yourself, your behavior can finally change. And the truth is, most people don't want to hear that you don't need motivation to start. You need honesty. It's not a priority for you right now, whatever that looks like. And then ask yourself this question: what am I telling myself that keeps me comfortable but yet stuck? And you can apply that to any area of your life that you're feeling really comfortable in, but yet you feel like you're not moving forward. I felt really comfortable in my cardio workouts that I did. I felt super comfortable in that. No problem there. But I felt really stuck in the fact that my arms were flabby and they were weak. They weren't strong or toned. So I was comfortable in the fact that, yeah, I could walk or jog or, do my rebounder, whatever it looked like, and get my cardio up, get all of that going. But when it came to strength training and lifting, I felt stuck. Quite honestly, I didn't like it. So, what lie feels safer than growth? It's just something to think about. Like, I'm just trying to give you guys some thoughts to think about as we are in this new year, right? And we have, well, almost 11 months and a couple weeks left in this year. So I'm already talking about, what's left for this year. But for me, faith plays a huge role in this, because faith isn't just believing that God can move, it's believing you can move when He nudges you. And this is kind of a scenario that I talk about a lot of times, is that I believe that God is totally sovereign, meaning He is in control of every single thing, but man is totally responsible. And how those things mesh together, I don't know. But the scenario is this, is that if you're laying on your couch at home and you're like, you're without a job, and you're like, well, if God wants me to have a job, He's going to bring the job to knock on my door, right? No, that isn't how God works. God is sovereign, man is responsible. You can't go lay down on the railroad tracks and say, today's not my day to die. The train's not going to run over me today. God's going to miraculously lift me off of the tracks. That's not using your brain very wisely. Man is responsible to do what God calls him to do, not to lay on the couch or lay down on the railroad tracks and just say, oh, if God doesn't want me to die, the train won't hit me. Or if God wants to give me a job, the job's going to come knocking on my door. No, it's believing that you can move when He nudges you. Sometimes we keep praying for clarity over and over when what we really need is the courage to do something. And sometimes the breakthrough isn't always spiritual, it's behavioral. It's us doing what needs to be done, it's us putting our toe to the water. like Moses, and believing in faith that God can do what he will do. And as uncomfortable as it is, discipline has been one of the most healing tools for me in my life. I don't know about you, but it absolutely, when discipline is there, it is so much more healing in my life than when I sit and do nothing. Not because it's extreme, because it's not, but because it tells the truth. When you become disciplined in the things that you're doing, that's when the truth shows up. The truth for me is that I can't go into the gym and bench press 100 pounds. Like, I can't do it. And I don't even like to use the word can't. At this point in my life, I don't have the strength to do that, but I'm working on it over time. I'm showing up and being disciplined. Okay. It shows you what you're capable of when excuses are no longer in charge. Like, I'm going to be able to do that at some point, right? But showing up today isn't going to make it happen. But showing up little bits and pieces over time is when that change will take place. So if you're listening to this today and you're thinking, I just need to get motivated. I just got to get my booty off the couch. I just got to do this. Okay? Remember that I don't stay motivated. I stay disciplined. I stay consistent. Let me gently offer you a different question. What lie is it that you need to get rid of? Because we all know that motivation comes and goes. It's up, it's down. It's up, it's down. But truth is what can carry you forward. You don't need more hype. And let me tell you, I can be your hype girl cheerleader every day of the week. I can hype it up. You don't need a perfect plan. Honestly, I don't have a perfect plan. Google Calendar helps me so much. Thank you to my friend Brooke for convincing me that Google Calendar would change my life. It's on my phone right here because you know what? That's what I have with me wherever I go. I don't always have a paper calendar with me. Google Calendars, but it's not a perfect plan. It's just that I'm planning. And you don't need January. I didn't start my podcast in January. I didn't start my coaching in January. I didn't start working out in January. And I didn't start carnivore in January. I actually started it in December 3 years ago. You need fewer lies that you keep telling yourself and one honest big step. And that's where I believe the freedom comes in. Because for so many years, we've heard people say, we're going to start these New Year's resolutions. We're going to do things differently, but we're going to wait till January because, you don't have the motivation to start it beforehand. And it's okay. Like, you can do what works for you. I just wanted to give you some encouragement, some food for thought, and share some of the tips that have worked for me and so many others that I'm helping coach along the way. So if this has been encouraging to you today, I would love to hear your feedback. If you have thoughts and ideas on other ways that you're doing it, that's awesome. That's amazing. But I would encourage you to stop telling yourself the lies that you can't do it, that you're too old, that your story doesn't matter, or that you have tried everything, nothing works. You should have started this when you were in your 20s. And I believe that you will start looking at things a little differently when you take your own power back and decide that you're going to do the thing that moves you forward and isn't holding you back. So anyways, just a little tidbit that I wanted to share with you guys today. I hope you have an awesome week, and I look forward to chatting with you next week on the Angie Ambrosetti Show. Thanks so much. That's it for today, friends. Thanks for tuning in with me today. I hope today's episode stirred your soul, sparked your faith, and reminded you that your story is far from over. Keep walking in freedom. Keep showing up bold, and never forget, God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called.
Be sure to leave a review, subscribe, or share this podcast with a friend who needs to hear it as well. Until next time, keep letting her out to play because the world needs your fire.